This customer has bought a fully off-grid property, but the electrics aren't working properly. So we're here to investigate. Let's jump in. So we're here in the Suffolk countryside in the middle of nowhere. There's this beautiful cottage and everything is running off these solar panels, a few batteries and a big diesel generator. So this is our customer Linton. What made you decide to buy an off-grid house?
So this is a question where I don't have a good answer. I don't know. It all happened very quickly. We came to have a look at this place. We didn't know it was off-grid until we got here, but we liked the place. It's a month in and it's been exciting but challenging so far.
Have there been any unexpected discoveries?
Every day, yes. We had the pipes freeze, so no water for, I think it was about 4 days. The electricity cuts out constantly. In-laws came over and put the kettle on, which was enough to trip it.
So what's your vision for this place? What would you like in terms of the electrics?
Main thing, functioning of a normal household, effectively. And then as green as we can go, I guess.
So the customer says that every time they turn on the kettle or the air fryer, the electrics just cut out. And obviously in this modern world, we need to be able to pull more than a few thousand watts. So we're here to look at the existing system, see if there's anything that we can do to improve it now and plan for a big upgrade later to give them some more juice. So there are 8 panels here on this south-facing roof of this outbuilding. They're pretty old. The customer reckons they're about 10 years old, about 225 watts each. So this array in itself is only about 2,000 watts, which is obviously not enough to power a modern home. And looking at the condition of the array and the way that it's been wired up, there's already a few alarm bells ringing. Now this system is complemented by this diesel generator, but the customer says this is actually pretty much running all the time. It's using about 200 litres of diesel every single month. So it seems to me that at this time of year, the solar and batteries are doing very little. So it looks like it's a 9 kVA generator, 7.2 kilowatts. It's a single phase, 230 volt, 50 hertz. Pretty new. It looks like it's in pretty good condition. It's not massive. 7.2 kilowatts is not huge, but it's certainly better than what you'd need to boil a kettle. So why on earth is the system tripping out when this diesel generator should be generating enough power for them to at least run the kettle and the air fryer? So the power feed comes out of this generator with this HO7 rubber cable. It's a 10mm 2-core. There's also this yellow cable here which goes to this. Not quite sure what this is doing. Oh, okay. I think this is basically just charging the battery within the generator. So this is a 12-volt power supply that charges the 12-volt lead acid battery that's in the generator. And then there's an additional cable here, which I'm guessing is maybe control or monitoring. Let's follow the cables and see where they go. So if you're enjoying this video so far, I've just got one thing to ask you, and that's to hit the subscribe button. We are on a mission to hit 1 million subscribers, and every single one of you who watches our videos regularly and subscribes, it really helps. Thank you. So this is where the generator cable goes to. So it actually goes into this control switch here, which has got a couple of settings. It's basically input and output, but it's like some kind of changeover switch by the looks of it. Then there's this voltage and frequency monitoring device, which just says what the voltage and frequency is coming from the generator. Generator's shut down at the moment, so that is not doing anything. And then it comes out of this switch and it goes into this Victron Energy battery charger. It looks like the generator is set up to charge these batteries, because out of this battery charger it goes on to this set of huge batteries. These are Rolls battery engineering batteries. They are 2 volts each and they're 1046 amp hours. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 of those batteries connected in series. So it's a 24 volt battery system. This generator is charging the batteries. I'm guessing then that gives them a kind of a stable power supply, and then this must be the solar inverter. It looks like an American brand, Outback Power Systems. Let me know if you've come across them before. We've got AC hot out. That's how I know it's American, because they call it hot rather than live. This grey cable here, I think, is the PV cable. Can you see we've got these two grey cables in here, and then it says solar in fuses. So it looks like they've actually got a fused solar array here. I mean, there's a lot of equipment here. Let's take some covers off and dig in and see what the wiring's like, because that worries me, I've got to be honest. Now, I'm not a hater of Victron systems, but as a general observation, what I've found is that they're often wired up really badly. And I think it's just because they often get done by DIYers. You know, these kind of off-grid systems. Yeah, here we go, classic example. Neat or not neat? Not neat. That is absolutely hideous. Like, it's just been bodged in by somebody who sort of knew what they were doing by the looks of it, but didn't really care about neatness. I mean, they've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different brands of circuit breaker. There's no main switch in here. They've just used these wire loops as some kind of bus bar system, but it's all very, very confusing. I mean, look at the amount of exposed copper underneath there. That is crazy. Not a good start. Boop, boop. When doing site surveys, I always try and take pictures of everything, because there's always a chance that when you're planning the job, you think, oh, how much room was there in this space, or whatever it might be. And if you've not got a photo of it, you can't look back and check, and then you have to go back to site to double check things. So take pictures of everything is my advice. That's served me pretty well over the years. Oh my goodness, what is going on here? So we've got battery fuses here. Right, okay, yeah, no, this is starting to make more sense now. That is a 200 amp battery fuse. And then it looks like these ones are the input battery fuses. So you've got the charge from the generator, and you've got the solar. If that is the inverter for the solar, it is very, very small. So if we get this cover off this trunking, we should be able to trace the cables. Yeah, there we go. So that is, by the looks of it, the solar inverter. And then you've got these DC fuses, which I guess the reason we need the DC fuses is because there's no DC protection in the inverter itself. Wow. The plot thickens. For 8 panels, there's a lot of string fuses. They're double pole units, so you're fusing the positive and the negative. So I can see here we've got 99 volts DC on that one. We've got 99 volts DC on that one. So they must be just under 50 volts per panel, so quite high voltage panels. And then they've put this kind of capacitor thing. Type 1, oh, it's a surge protection device. Wow, that is interesting. I've never seen a DC surge protection device like that before. So that's quite good. I guess because it's in the sticks and it's on a metal roof, they've actually earthed the array. So you can see they've run in these earth wires. I mean, it's just control flex they've used for the DC power, which is definitely not good. They're not double insulated, those PV cables, at all. They've made the effort to put a surge protection device in at least. They've wired it as almost like a ring, so they've looped in and out, and then they've come off the bus bar. But, okay, this is where it gets clever, okay? So the inverter is turning it from 110 volts or 107 volts DC to 24 volts. So you can see it on here. It says in 102.3 volts and then battery 24 volts. So this is not a typical inverter that's turning DC into AC. It's kind of a transformer, I guess. So essentially what's happening is the solar is feeding these batteries and constantly trickle charging them. The generator, when needed, is also trickle charging the batteries. The batteries feed out through this output. This output goes down and then into this, and this is the main inverter for the house. So we should see our DC cable in one side, and then on the outside, this grey cable here comes through and then goes into this consumer unit, and it looks like the power for the entire property is running through this circuit breaker. which is a 16 amp circuit breaker, which is why when they turn on the kettle or the air fryer or something like that, it's basically overloading that circuit breaker and tripping out. What a mess. This is one of the most hideous DIY spaghetti monster bird's nest mangled disasters of a wiring setup. I mean, I don't understand how some people's brains work, like why they can't just wire things up in like a logical, neat and simple way. At this point I'm like, you know what, there is no point in me learning what every wire does and where it goes, because realistically this system is not up to what the customer needs. So I'm going to look at, okay, what can we do to install a system that works, that is simple, that they're not going to have to be a rocket scientist to understand how it works or fix it if anything goes wrong. This is a tool of the day today, this little Nipex thing. So cool. It's a little set of all of the various meter keys that you could ever need, basically. Very handy for situations like these. So I'm going to whip this open and then take the cover off, have a quick look. Oh, and somebody's left a little wiring diagram. Look at that. New voltage dependent switching. Yep, exactly what I thought. Handwritten note from somebody who knew just enough to be dangerous. Here we go. So it says, charging starts 1 minute after Jenny turned on. Auto on K1, which is switched by the outback, saying battery voltage is low. I think this all needs ripping out and starting again. The live comes in to the bottom of this RCD. This bit of twin and earth goes to a junction box, so I'm guessing that's the general lighting. Goodness knows what this switch does. This just gets more and more complicated the further and further I look. Right, so this is a complete disaster, and I've decided that the best thing to do is to write all of this off and just start afresh. I'm thinking we could fit a off-grid SIG energy system that has integration directly with the generator. So the SIG energy system says for the generator to kick in if there's not enough solar or the batteries are low, and it will just top the batteries back up. It's just going to be so much simpler, neater, more user-friendly. Everything can be monitored in an app by the customer. We can fit a 12 kilowatt inverter, for example, which is going to allow them to actually put multiple appliances on in one go. But if we're going to upgrade this system and give them more power, we're going to need to check the supply to the house to make sure that the supply cable is big enough. Otherwise we're going to have to upgrade that. Right, so while we're here, what we want to do is check the structural integrity of this roof as well. Amazingly, what they've done to fix those rails for the solar panels, they've literally screwed straight through this tin metal roof into these joists. You can actually see the screw sticking out the other side. And these timbers are very, very thin as well. If we were to say, remove the old panels and install new panels that were larger and more efficient and higher capacity, would this roof be able to handle it? I'm just not quite sure, but we'll measure up anyway, because that is an option, is to just rip these old panels off and cover the entire roof in new solar panels. If we wanted to install an MCS certified approved install here, which we actually don't have to because it's off-grid, you can kind of do what you want, but that is the danger. It's so dangerous when people think, oh, I'm off-grid, so all of the rules don't apply. It doesn't matter whether you're off-grid or on-grid. If you're generating electricity, it needs to be safe. And unfortunately, so many people, when they go off-grid, think that they can just throw the rule book out completely and install a system that's not even safe, definitely not neat. And it's debatable whether it even works as it was intended to work. I mean, they could cut those trees down there, reinforce this roof. If I measure the width of this building, I'll see how many we could fit. We've got 15.5 meters of length. We could potentially get 13 panels along here. And with a, say, 485 watt panel, that's 6.3 kilowatts. I mean, we're tripling the output of the system, but to be honest, I don't really think it's enough for the amount of power that the customer might need, particularly in winter. I think they're going to need a ground mount array. So I think we could fit a really decent ground mount array in here. We could do like a double landscape setup like we did on the Oxford project with the Cornish rocker system. Would be fantastic. So we've got 8 meters to there. Yeah, we've got another 8 meters to here. So we've got 16 meters. We could fit 9 panels in landscape. So times that by 2, that would be 18 panels. That's 8.7 kilowatts. That's a lot better. Even in winter, on a day like today, it's gonna output 12, 13, 14 kilowatts. Keep those batteries nicely charged. And the diesel generator then becomes a backup generator rather than your main source of power. So this is the cable that feeds the house. It's literally just trailing over the ground. And it's quite a long run to the house. So if we have to replace this, that is going to be quite a chunky cable and quite a lot of digging needed. But let's trace it through and see if we can find where it goes. Oh, it's muddy. Squelch, squelch. Looks like it comes across there somewhere. It looks like it comes in here. I think that's the one. Plot thickens. It looks like they've glanded those cables outside and then just taken the inner sheath through here. This is the armoured that we've been looking for, and it is only 6mm. But it's bizarre because it's actually a 4-core by the looks of it. So the good news is the wiring looks like it's in decent condition. I'll probably recommend an EICR anyway because they've not had that done. And then we could possibly upgrade this consumer unit to a modern one, upgrade the supply to the extension because it's way undersized. Because the feed to this building is only 6mm, although we could potentially double up the cores and give ourselves 12mm, with the volt drop and the fact that the cable's not buried properly, I'm just going to recommend upgrading the cable to a much bigger one. It future-proofs it if they ever need to increase capacity. It's safe, it's properly buried. There's no issues with volt drop, which with generators can be quite a challenge anyway. And it just makes the whole setup much more resilient. So if you've got an off-grid system that needs an upgrade, or you're worried about your system or it's not working properly and you'd like us to take a look, there'll be a link in the description of this video where you can get a quote from us to give you a solar audit or a quote for a new system. Well, what a house and what a system. I mean, some chaotic wiring in there, but I think we've got a great plan of attack to tidy it all up and replace it with a modern off-grid system that's going to work fantastically for our customer. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you do and hit a like on this video if you've enjoyed it. It really helps our channel to grow. And why not settle in and watch one of these videos up here that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.